Welcome back to Off the Record. I'm Amy, and today we're talking about songs that changed everything, but not right away. These are songs that didn't explode when they were released. They weren't instant chart toppers, they didn't immediately define a moment. Instead, they waited. They found new audiences, new meanings, and new relevance over time, sometimes decades later, and ended up becoming bigger than anyone could have imagined. Let's start with Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. Running Up That Hill was released in 1985. At the time, it was respected, it was admired, but in the United States, it wasn't a massive hit. Kate Bush was seen as an incredibly talented and innovative, but also a little unconventional for mainstream radio. Fast forward nearly 40 years. The song resurfaces in a completely different cultural moment, largely because of Stranger Things in 2022. When Running Up That Hill was featured prominently in the show, it didn't just reappear, it exploded. Streaming numbers skyrocketed. It climbed the charts worldwide. A whole new generation discovered Kate Bush for the first time. Running Up That Hill hit number 1 in the UK, 37 years after release, becoming her first UK number 1 since 1978, and number 3 in the US, thanks hugely to the audience of Stranger Things. When the song was first released, it was only number 3 in the UK and number 30 in the US. What's fascinating is that the song itself didn't change. The production stayed the same, the lyrics stayed the same, the context changed. Running Up That Hill is about emotional misunderstanding, about wishing you could trade places with someone so they could finally understand how you feel. That idea didn't expire. It just waited for the right moment and the right story to amplify it. This song proved something important. Music doesn't age out, it waits. Next is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. I've talked about Dreams before, so today we're not revisiting how it was written or what was happening in the band. Instead, we're talking about what happened later. When Dreams was first released in 1977, it was understated. No explosive chorus, no dramatic production, it didn't demand attention. Years later, the song experienced a major resurgence, not because it was reworked or modernized, but because it fit a moment. It became background music for reflection, nostalgia, and quiet resilience. What's important here is that Dreams didn't chase relevance, relevance found it. When Dreams first released in 1977, it hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US for 1 week, which was the band's only US number 1 single. In 2022, it saw a massive chart resurgence due to a viral TikTok video, re-entering the Hot 100, peaking at number 12. This song changed the way we think about longevity. It showed that subtle songs don't disappear, they linger, and sometimes that makes them more powerful in the long run. And then there's Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Fast Car didn't arrive with spectacle. It arrived quietly, a simple melody, a steady voice, a story that felt deeply personal and painfully universal. At first, the song grew slowly. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but people listened. Fast Car is about hope colliding with reality, about wanting to escape, about generational cycles, about realizing how difficult it is to leave the life you were born into. It didn't need dramatics to make an impact. It needed honesty. Over time, the song became one of the most respected storytelling tracks in modern music. It influenced generations of singer-songwriters and proved that quiet narratives can still be revolutionary. Fast Car was a major hit in 1988, reaching number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 1 in Canada, and number 5 in the UK, earning her Grammy nominations and wins, and had a significant resurgence in 2024 after her Grammy performance with Luke Combs, who also covered the song, hitting number 2 on the Hot 100 and number 1 in country, making Chapman the first black female songwriter with a number 1 country hit. Next is Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. This one surprises a lot of people. Don't Stop Believin' was not a massive hit when it was first released in 1981. It didn't top the charts. In fact, it peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. it was just another song on an album. Then slowly, it started showing up again in movies, on television, at sporting events, and over time, it transformed into the sing along anthem. This song's chart history exploded decades later, becoming the best selling digital track from the 20th century thanks to iconic placements in The Sopranos finale in 2007 and Glee in 2009. What changed wasn't the song, it was how people used it. Don't Stop Believin' became shorthand for hope, nostalgia, and collective joy. It didn't dominate its era, it outlived it. This song proved that sometimes success isn't about timing, it's about endurance. And lastly, Mr. Brightside by The Killers. Mr. Brightside is the definition of a slow burn. It didn't shoot to the top immediately when it released in 2004. It climbed, slowly and steadily, through radio play and live performance. Mr. Brightside is famous for its extraordinary chart longevity, peaking at number 10 in the UK and US in 2004, but becoming the UK's biggest song never to reach number 1. It spent over 480 weeks on the chart, becoming the most streamed song of all time in the UK by 2024. This song holds records as the most streamed pre-2010 song in the UK and the most streamed song of all time on platforms like Spotify, reaching billions of streams. What made it stick was repetition. The lyrics are obsessive, the emotion is raw, the feeling is immediate. It captures jealousy and spiraling thoughts in a way that feels uncomfortably familiar. Over time, Mr. Brightside stopped being just a song. It became a ritual, a generational anthem, a song people scream at the top of their lungs, even if they don't fully understand why it hit so hard. It didn't need reinvention, it needed time. What all of these songs have in common isn't hype, it's patience. They didn't demand attention, they earned it. They waited for listeners to catch up, emotionally, culturally, personally. These songs remind us that impact doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, and sometimes the songs that change everything are the ones that refuse to disappear. Thanks for listening to Off the Record. If this episode made you hear a song differently, or made you realize how powerful timing and context really are, send it to someone who loves a good slow burn. I'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, keep listening closely.